Jesus shows his wounds, and Thomas is able to believe. He breathes on them, and he hands over to them his Spirit. That very Spirit that hovered at the beginning of creation and brought life to a world and gave form and defined the world. Like the original creation, the Spirit of God has power over sin. And Jesus reminds us, as he told us during the Lenten season, I will put a new spirit in them, and you shall live. The risen Christ is the crucified one. Christ's presence is recognized by his wounds. And on Mercy Sunday, we are called to remember, as we pray many times, for the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world, because there are those in this world who are wounded. There are those among us who are wounded. And the Lord is present when we recognize the wounds of the one among us. When we recognize the wounds of those who are homeless, those who are sick, those who are marginalized, those who are disenfranchised, those who live on the margins of our society, those who are not acceptable at our tables, those are the wounded. Now I've asked Matt Finneran to speak to you. Matt is leaving in 2 weeks to go to Charlotte, North Carolina for his residency, medical residency. The other evening, he and his wife and I were having dinner, and he was telling a story that had happened to him in the emergency room. When I heard the story, I was literally moved with emotion. Because this is a story of one of the wounded. I've asked him to tell you this story.
Morning, everyone. I did this last night and everyone told me I was better than Father Lou. So yeah, I'm a fourth-year medical student. I graduate in May. I just finished my last rotation in ER on Friday night. And a couple weeks ago, I was in one of the local ERs, and the attending physician just kind of assigns patients, and he was like, "Go see this drug withdrawal patient. We need to get her out of here." You know, it's not typically the type of patient we get real excited about seeing. Some withdrawals are more dangerous than others, but a lot of times it's uncomfortable for the patient, and that's about it. It's not like a life-threatening thing. You know, and actually, sadly enough, if you have insurance, you can get admitted for detox. If you don't have insurance, we just discharge you, and you just have to deal with it. But anyways, I went to the room and I read on the triage note, just said 26-year-old female, detox. That's kind of all the information that it gave you. And, you know, I expect to walk in the room and say, you know, I'm student physician Matt Finneran, I'm working with the doctors here. You know, I have my little spiel memorized after 4 years. And I always have to reassure people that they do get to see the doctor eventually. So I walk in and actually taken aback a little bit. There's this 26-year-old woman. She's just, you know, balled up in the fetal position, just crying on an exam room table. And so I go up to her and I put my hand on her. I'm like, "Why are you crying?" You know, and in a number of colorful words and descriptions, basically says, "My life sucks and this is why." And I eventually learned she had been addicted to drugs since she was a teenager. She didn't know what she was withdrawing from because, quite frankly, in the past week she had done cocaine, she had done marijuana, narcotics, excessive amounts of alcohol, all in a week's time. And basically the only drug that she ever admitted to not doing was meth. So it's difficult to kind of tease some things out, and anytime someone's a drug user, you kind of have to ask the medical questions like, you know, what's your risk for disease, how long, what are you taking, how often, and one of the questions that assesses that, you know, is like, do you share needles, do you even use needles, and you know, how many sexual partners have you had? And I go and I ask these questions, and then when I get to that one, she's just taken aback and like real kind of embarrassed, and I have to reassure her a little bit, and you know, eventually she says 16 in the past 6 months. You know, and oh, by the way, I think I might be pregnant, and oh, by the way, I am afraid that I have HIV all at the same time, you know. So she bursts into tears after all of this, and you know, it's a very interesting dichotomy because I'm 26 and she's 26, and I'm about to graduate and be a physician, and this is where she is in her life and where I am in my life. It's you know, we've taken different paths, and I don't think our paths, the same paths were available to her as were to me. You know, so she's embarrassed for the choices that she's made, embarrassed for where she is. She's completely vulnerable. You know, she's not someone that is just another drug addict in the ER that we need to get rid of. You know, she's a complete individual, a human being. She's crying for help, and she's given me the privilege of her tears and the trust of her story. You know, so often in medicine, in life in general, you don't have to just be a doctor to experience these types of things, but we get cynical about our lives around us, and you know, it eats away, it erodes our compassion with how we deal with people, and we're just so quick to judge if this person isn't living up to the standards that I expect them to be at, and so I distance myself from this person. You know, we want them to adhere to a certain set of standards, and when they don't make up to what we want them to be, we try to ignore them, and we feel that they might somehow taint us as a person, you know. But you know, in my experiences in medicine, it's those people that we push away, that we shame into feeling bad about themselves, that they're the ones that need our love the most. So that's my story, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share it with you.
As we hear that story, I certainly, once again, I want to thank Matt. You know, I really believe that you are an example of a compassionate person, one who experiences that mercy and is able to take his profession and his personal life as a Roman Catholic, and he shares it with us. He shared it with us on the piano. He shared it with us in playing the clarinet. He shared it with us in sharing his word and his experience. And as we do that, I wonder how many other stories are out there that we are going to hear, or we could hear this week as a Catholic people. If we were just aware, kind of decentering ourselves and focusing on those in need. We truly would be then servants of Christ, and we would show forth the mercy of Christ in each of our lives. So I pray that on this Mercy Sunday, that somehow we will recognize the presence of the wounded Christ this week, and that we will be able to reach out to one person, either at home or at work, or in a soup kitchen, or someplace we volunteer, that somehow your presence will reveal that very mercy and love of God, and that you will show them that they are loved and they are forgiven. God bless you.